Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Simple Art for Adults. My name is Erin, and today I just kind of felt like recording a video. I didn't really have anything planned or scheduled or anything like that. It's been an interesting morning so far. It's been a really busy morning. I've been up since about 6 o'clock. I've already driven to Owensboro, which is, I don't know, like 40 minutes for me. I went to Hobby Lobby, went ahead and took my boyfriend to work since I had some running around to do, so it's been a busy morning already and an interesting morning, and I still have plenty of things I have to do today, but I'm going to color. I'm going to color for a while because I need to relax. Excuse me. So, you guys probably already know, most of you who are watching this, if you're in my Facebook group, you know I've been working on this page. I'm in love with this page right now. It's just like so green. Right now I am working with almost 100% pure daylight. It's nice and bright and sunny, and it's that time of day where it's shining right in the window. I do have my lamp over here, so you do kind of see this little bit of glare. But for the most part, I'm just trying to go with daylight, because if I shine the light right on it, it washes the colors out and puts a big shine on it, so we don't want that. This picture I've been working on now for the last several days, here and there. It's a mix of the Blick Studio pencils. So I've been doing my little bunny rabbits down here this morning. And it's got some of the Lyra or Lyra, however you say it, the poly colors. It's got some of that in there too. It's got a little bit of gel pen, like right in the center of these. It's got a little gel pen. So it's got a little mix of everything going on in it today. Let me turn that just a little bit more. So yeah, this morning I thought I would just kind of hop on and do a little bit more coloring and maybe talk about my day with you guys. I hope all of you are having a wonderful day. I know it has just been madness in my neck of the woods. Everything's been so crazy busy. I have run non-stop since I woke up this morning. I did have a chance to sit down with you guys a little bit and talk on the Facebook group some this morning, so I guess it hasn't been too terribly bad. So I drove to Owensboro today, which is, I'm in Indiana and Owensboro is in Kentucky, but it's about 40 minutes from me, and that's, you know, my boyfriend works there, and that's where I normally go when I go to like Hobby Lobby, because I live in a really small town. So it's either Evansville, Indiana or Owensboro, Kentucky. Owensboro happens to be closer, and I feel more comfortable driving there because there's, you know, fewer people. It's not as big as Evansville. Nevertheless, I'm convinced that people there can't drive very well. One of the interesting things that happened to me today, I was driving down the bypass, which I'm not sure what you guys call things where you all are from, but basically it's the equivalent of a freeway, and it just goes around the city, so you can take your different exits and go. Sorry about that. The phone was ringing. So you take your different exits so you can go to different parts of the city and, you know, what have you. So anyway, there wasn't a whole lot of traffic on it this morning, but there was, you know, some, and there was a lady who was driving, I don't know, it was probably like 45 miles an hour or something in the passing lane, and she had traffic all backed up. So a bunch of people who were in the right-hand lane, the normal, you know, traffic lane, they moved over and they took the next exit. So I decided that I was going to go around this lady on the right because she just wasn't moving over and there was nobody beside her. And I wanted to go faster than 45 miles an hour because the speed limit's 65 miles an hour. So I put my turn signal on and I went to go get in the right lane so I could go around her. And she proceeded to like speed up. And so I'm like trying to figure out what she's doing. Is she crazy? Is she having like a breakdown or something? What's going on here? And so eventually I took the next exit, which was, I don't know, like a mile and a half down the road, I guess. And she followed me off that exit into a parking lot, got out of her car, and proceeded to scream at me for making her miss her exit, which I guess was in between the one that all the other people got off the bypass and where I got off the bypass. So she's yelling at me and telling me I made her miss her exit. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You were driving in the left-hand lane, like 20 miles an hour under the speed limit for miles. How did I make you miss your exit? So anyway, I was like starting to freak out and get a little bit scared because, you know, people get irritated in traffic and they may flip you the bird or whatever. But I've never actually like had somebody chase me down into a parking lot and proceed to like tell me it's my fault they missed their exit and all this nonsense. So yeah, that was a rather interesting part of my day, to say the least. It was scary. Eventually, I just kind of walked away from her, and I think I got back in my car and just like shut the doors and locked them, and she went away. So, so I think I'm done with the greens that are in these two sets of pencils I've been using. These are the Blick Studio pencils, and I do like these. So if you guys are interested in investing in like a mid-price line of pencils, I think they're good ones. I really do. So we're going to put these back where they belong, if I can remember. The case is upside, yeah, let's turn this. This is upside down. I can't function when it's upside down. Alright, so I think I'm going to get some Prismacolor greens, so I can have some different greens in here. So yeah, in this case, these are all my Blick Studio pencils. There's 91 total pencils. The 72 set is missing some pinks and grays. So if you guys do want to look into this, the 72 set's okay. I have some pinks and grays in my cart, so I can get them. It did come with a couple of pinks. The beige, what they call beige, is actually like pink, but there's no other like light skin tones. And it did come with a handful of grays. So there's enough here for me, really. I would like to get the rest eventually, but I'm not in a hurry. And then these are all the Lyra polycolors that I have. I started out with just a 36 set of these, and I've added to it a little bit over time, some of the colors that I really like. So these, I think I've added, the light flesh tones I added, some of the purples I added because purple is my favorite color. And then I have most of the few polychromos that I have are in here. I only have 20 altogether. So my blues and greens aren't in here right now because I'm using them in Lost Ocean. But I do like them. I'm hoping to get the full set for Christmas. Fingers crossed. I really like them. I love coloring with them. So I'm very excited about that. Anyway, so right now my goal is to find some greens that don't really resemble the greens I've already used in here. Guys, I hope that this doesn't look too dark and gray for you all. I really do. It is, I just want to try to make it look not shiny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my giant binder full of art stuff. And I'm going to look at my Prismacolor chart at some greens, which are going to be where you guys can't see them. So let me move it. There we go. So let's see what kind of greens I haven't already used. The pale sage, I think, is going to be, if you guys can see that, the pale sage I think I'm going to get out for my lightest color. And then I think a sap green light for my middle color. And then a kelp green for my darkest color. So pale sage, sap green light, and kelp green. That looks like fun to me. If you guys are interested in this little chart, I downloaded this from coloringpagesbliss.com. It's a fun little site. It's $5 a month if you want a premium membership, and you can download lots of cool coloring pages. She has free ones there too. I can't remember whether the swatch charts that she has are free or not, to be honest with you, because I've been a premium member so long. I'll see if I can't get her permission to download one of her images and color it in a video. I think she'd be okay with it. Jennifer's pretty laid back, and she's such a cute artist. I love the stuff she does, but I wouldn't want to do that without her permission. So we'll see what she says. She usually does that herself. She'll print out the things that she draws and colors them. All right, so pale sage, sap green light, and kelp green. You guys can tell my Prismacolors are so well loved. I do have some extras of a lot of the greens because I use them all the time. I'm going to have to sharpen these up. Again, I'm not prepared. I was not prepared for this video. So somebody's going to come in the comments and yell at me and tell me how unprofessional I am, and I should have been prepared. I think people forget my goal with these videos isn't necessarily to be professional. It's just, you know, it's fun. It's fun to talk to you guys, and it's fun to, you know, like, as I learn things, to share them with you and stuff like that. So that's why I do this. I don't do it because I want to be like a professional YouTuber. I just think it's fun. And plus, I think I have like the best Facebook group ever. So my group of people in my Facebook group is absolutely amazing, and I love them all. So yeah, it's fun to hang out this way, I think. All right. So let's dive in and color some more leaves with these 3 colors. I don't know which ones I want to do though. All right, let's start with some of these down here. I'm just trying to make it to where it's like just a bunch of different greens, I guess, is really all I'm trying to do. So, I actually made a little list here of things I can talk about with you guys today. I actually have things I can talk about today because it's been such an interesting day. The next thing I wanted to actually ask you guys, and see if it happens to anybody else who lives in the colder climates especially, because when it starts getting cold outside, it also starts getting dry outside. Like there's no humidity in the air whatsoever. So it was, I think, 26 degrees when I woke up this morning, which is downright stinking cold. And so I woke up early and I was doing some laundry, and I got it out of the dryer to fold it all up before everybody got their day started. And there's just so much static, especially in the fleece, like the fleece blankets. And my daughter has a fleece Hello Kitty onesie with a butt flap. If you guys know what I'm talking about. It's got like the big old Hello Kitty head for the little butt flap, like the, what is it, Linus from Peanuts, I think, wears one of those things. So she's got one of those, and there was just so much static in it. And so, I mean, I use dryer sheets and everything, so I know those are supposed to be like anti-static, and I put 2 in when I have a large load. So I just don't know what else to do, guys. I don't know if there's anything else that I can do to prevent it. But it seems like ever since I handled the fleece blanket and her onesie that was in the dryer, it seems like ever since I handled those things, like everything I touch is staticky now. Like I went to close the car door when I got home from Hobby Lobby earlier, and I got out of the car and touched the door, and it like zapped me, and it zapped me pretty good. So yeah, does anybody have any tips for getting rid of static? Do you guys think it could have something to do with like drying things that have a zipper or whatever, like metal in them alongside the fleece? Should I try to separate all the metal out of the that type of laundry maybe? Because honestly, I don't know. Oh, I just realized there's one heck of a shadow on there. I'm not paying any attention to what's going on. Let me try to move this light. Let's see if this helps with some of the shadowing. Yep, that does help a lot. Okay. It may wash out the colors a little bit, but at least you can see what's happening now. I'm sorry. Yeah, so if anybody has any good anti-static tips, please share them with me. You can message me. You can start a Facebook thread if you want. It doesn't make any difference to me. I just know I need to do something. I woke up this morning and I was going to work today. I'm a content writer, and I've said this in other videos. So basically what that means is I write blogs that go on my clients' websites to help them generate website traffic. So I was going to work today because I have a client that's got a deadline for me over the middle of next week, and I was absolutely going to get a head start on that today. But I woke up this morning and got the laundry going, and started reading my emails, and thought to myself, I need a stinking mental health day. Like, I need to take a mental health day and color. I have not finished a picture in weeks. So, I mean, I'm just going to color. I'm going to color today. I'm also going to clean the house, but I'm going to come in, because if I'm going to take a mental health day, I got to get something out of it. But, yep. So, that's the plan. I'm going to make some great big pork chops and some kind of sweet potatoes tonight for supper. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's better. I'm not sure what kind of sweet potatoes I'm going to make, but I am going to make some somehow. My kids like them smashed with cinnamon and sugar, brown sugar in them. So maybe we'll do that. I'm not sure. I don't have a plan, guys. I have no plan. I'm just coloring things. That's all. Yesterday we had soup. It was so cold yesterday that soup sounded good, so that's what we had. Since I'm taking a mental health day today, I will have a little bit of extra time to cook something, you know, a little bit more substantial than soup. Although, if you guys make soup, then you probably know that soup's not necessarily an easy endeavor, so not always. Minestrone's not too bad, though, so. Yeah, that's the plan. Oh, I went to Hobby Lobby this morning, and I didn't tell you why. So, I went to Hobby Lobby. I'm trying to fix this so you guys can actually see the colors. There we go. I went to Hobby Lobby to buy a platform to go to my Sizzix Fabby, which is a die cutting and embossing machine. The Fabby is advertised to be for fabrics, but I've found that it also, it's pretty much the same thing as the Sizzix Big Shot, which is like, that one's, so the Big Shot is for paper. It's advertised to be for paper, and the Fabby is advertised to be for fabric, but they're the same machine. They're like the exact same thing. So I found the Fabby at Tuesday morning, and I found it for $45, and I went ahead and picked it up because that's a really good price. And I got 2 of the nice big thick dies that have the actual blades in them. If you guys are card makers, you probably know what I'm talking about. If you're not a card maker and you're interested, let me know, and I'll think about maybe doing a video on some of this stuff and showing you what everything is and how it works and all that. I'm new to it myself, so I'm not sure how great the videos will be, but I'll show you what I have and what I know. Yeah, so I found the Fabby, and I got 2 of the bigger dies, and then I went to Hobby Lobby that same day, and I picked up 2 of the smaller type dies, like the little real thin metal dies. And then when I got it home yesterday, I realized that the Fabby doesn't have the, that's going to be a little dark, and I'm sorry. Well, actually, the sunlight's making my life hard today. The Big Shot, when you buy the Big Shot, it's more expensive than the Fabby is to buy it outright, but it comes with this little platform. So, okay, basically what you do with these machines is it's like a roller system, right? You stick your stuff on there, your card and your die and whatever, and your paper, and then you roll it through this machine, and the machine like sandwiches it down really hard, and it cuts that piece of paper out or does your embossing for you. Well, the gap in the Fabby is way too big to use the framelits and whatnot, the real little dies. And so when I made my brother's birthday card yesterday, I was using a thin little book that I had to try to make up for that extra space, and it worked okay. It just didn't work, you know, like really, really well. So I went to Hobby Lobby today to look for a platform that's actually made for the Sizzix, and I found one. And it's usually $35 or something, and I don't know what it is on Amazon, guys, because I don't really shop for these kinds of things. Like I said, I'm new to it. Sorry for all the noise I'm banging around back here. But I bought this one, if any of you ladies or gentlemen do card making, and this is the magnetic one even. So when I put my framelits and stuff in there, or the little wafer thin dies, they'll actually stick. And they won't move around, so I don't have to use the washi to hold them down, and I'm really happy about that. This was $35 for this thing, but I had my 40% off coupon, so I got it for $20. And I probably still paid more than I would have if I would have ordered it on Amazon, but to be fair, I just didn't want to wait because I'm impatient and I have cards to make. So, but yeah, if any of you are interested in that kind of thing, card making and, you know, stamping and whatnot, and I don't have a whole lot of stuff. I put most of my money into coloring, but if you guys are interested in seeing some card making and stamping and some of the things that I do, you know, let me know either in the comments or on the Facebook group, and I'll, you know, make you like a little video of the stuff I have and what it does. And then maybe if you guys are looking to get addicted to something other than coloring, I can show you the card making. At first I was like, man, that just seems like an awful lot of money to put into a card that somebody's going to look at for 30 seconds and then probably throw away or whatever. But the more that I thought about it, and I went out and I did buy some basic supplies like some cardstock and glue and stencils and that kind of thing. And then the more that I got into it, the more I realized that, you know, it's not necessarily all about the person receiving it, which, I mean, you want it to look pretty for the person who's receiving it, obviously. But some of it is, I mean, for you. The fun of making it, the fun of knowing that, you know, putting your time into it and watching little bits and pieces of paper and stickers and buttons and sequins and stuff turn into something, you know, really, really pretty. Even if that person chooses not to keep it after they've opened it and read it, you know, it's fun to do. It takes your mind off things. It's just like coloring. So, yeah, that's why I started doing it. And everything I have, I've gotten like a heck of a deal on too, so I can't really complain too much about that. I got a fabulous deal, and I don't think I don't know if the Fabby and the Big Shot are even still considered, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for, guys? Are they like still, you know, modern or whatever? Have they been discontinued? I'm not certain. I know that they work with all the Sizzix dyes except for like the Bigs Pro, some Bigs Pro XL, like some huge die. It can't take those because it's not wide enough. But other than that, it works with all the dies, the framelits, you know, everything. So I found it at Tuesday Morning really cheap, and I picked it up, and I was happy with that. And I got some use out of it making my brother's card. I also found some embossing folders and some stamp and die kits, like matching stamps and dies. So everybody who has sent me happy mail, it's not that I haven't wanted to send a thank you card. I have some thank you cards I want to send to you, but I didn't want to send them just plain. So I wanted to wait until I could get the stuff I needed to personalize them just a tiny little bit, and I have that now. So I will be making you all some thank you cards soon, and I know that it's a little late at this point, but better late than never, I think, right? So that's how I feel about it. That's my philosophy. Better late than never. Yeah, so guys, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just adding some green. That's really all I'm doing, adding some greens. Trying to make my picture look prettier. Because I have a lot of little leaves to color. Oh, something else I want to try to do is, I'm sure that you guys have seen like in the groups where they do like the aura backgrounds, where they start like with a color and they kind of outline everything with it, and then they like, it goes out lighter and lighter and lighter. The whole background isn't colored in, but just like, it's just like an aura around everything. I want to try one of those, and maybe I'll start on that with you guys here today too, while I'm doing this. I don't know. I have not decided yet what I'm going to do. We'll have to make sure my phone camera doesn't overheat again first, because it's notorious for doing that. I think I'm going to do these ones in these colors also. So those of you who thought about ordering some of the Lyra Rembrandt Polycolor pencils, there is one color, if you guys are going to order yourself some open stock, there is one color that I'm going to recommend, because and it may exist, something similar may exist in Polychromos, but I haven't seen it in the Prismacolor or in the Crayola or in any other brand, and that is it's called Night Green. And it's a really pretty, really dark bluish green, and it's one of my favorite colors. As a matter of fact, it probably is my favorite color in that whole set of pencils that I have. So if you guys are thinking about ordering some of the Polycolors, I would definitely recommend one of those as your open stock, because even if you decide that you don't like the Polycolors all that much, you probably will use that one pencil at the very least, because it is a color that I don't think exists in any other set. Or, you know, there's nothing quite that bright and quite that dark at the same time. I don't know. It's hard to explain, guys. It's a really pretty color. So, yeah, I'm doing Prismacolor now, so this is officially the third pencil brand that I put in this image. I don't care, guys. I just want a bunch of different greens, all kinds of different greens. That was my plan. Plus, it's my first picture in this book, And I think, and of course it was Happy Mail from Sherry. Sherry sent it to me. And I think she said this is the UK version, and I've never colored in one of the UK versions, so I wasn't sure about what was going to happen with the paper. So, you know, this has given me an opportunity to kind of try all my pencil brands that I use commonly in the paper and see what's going to happen. And that's never a bad thing. So now we're trying the Prismacolors, and, you know, I always like the Prismacolors. I think they're working wonderfully. They're my favorites, so. The only paper I won't use Prismacolors on is Create Space. I know Jen was when she was doing her live stream last week, was talking about it, and she said, you know, that she can, and you can use Prismacolors. And you can. She's absolutely right. I mean, you can use Prismacolors on Create Space. It's just, for me, it's such a pain, because you have to color everything. You have to use these really light layers. No matter what you do, you can't get the color to go down into the tooth of the paper, so you're not going to get that smooth look. If that doesn't bother you, then that's fine. But it does bother me. I don't like any white space left behind when I'm done. So, with the Prismacolors, you legit have to go through and burnish everything with a blender pencil. Everything. Or you don't get that look. So for me, that's a pain in the butt, because I do have to go back through and burnish everything to get the look I personally want. So it's just, I don't use Prismacolors on Create Space. That's why I'm getting the polychromos, as a matter of fact, because for me, I think the polychromos are best on that paper. That's just my opinion. You guys may feel differently, and that's fine. Like I said, it's just a matter of opinion. Speaking of colored pencils, I want to address something with you guys, because I think that there's a whole lot of misconception in the coloring community about it, and that's okay. But something about me, and for those of you who don't know me very well, or who haven't spent a lot of time on my channel, and it's probably going to be most of you, I'm not a person who just takes people's word for things. If you tell me something and say, like if you came to me and said, well, this algae is red, I'm not just going to take your word for it. First of all, I'm going to want to see it. I want to see the algae. And then I want to know why it's red. Why not green or blue like most algae? Why is it red? I'm going to go look up the answers and the solutions, because I need to know things. People have accused me of like being a know-it-all. And I think maybe sometimes I do kind of come across that way. And if I do, I apologize. I don't mean to be that way. I am just like probably the most curious person ever. My job requires me to do so much research on so many like random subjects that I do know a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff. Just about random stuff. Because I've been a writer for 10 years. I've had clients that range from, HVAC companies to escort services. So I do know quite a bit about many, many things, and I try to share my knowledge with other people. But I've also developed this thing where I need to research things. You can tell me something if you want. I'm not telling you not to share your knowledge with me, but expect me to ask you why, or, research it myself and learn more. It's not because I don't believe you. It's because that's just me. I'm weird, I guess. So, one of the things that's big in the coloring community, and a phrase that I hear associated with Prismacolors all the time, is wax bloom. Well, I don't use Prismacolors because of wax bloom, or I'm afraid to use Prismacolors because of wax bloom. And I think there's a big misconception about what wax bloom really, actually, and truly is. And I've done I did research on this when I was new to coloring. I actually did quite a bit of research on wax bloom, and I can kind of help clarify that for you guys. Basically what happens is when you have a colored pencil, okay, let me use some visual examples because it helps me talk too. Alright, so you have colored pencils, right? When the manufacturer makes colored pencils, all of these start out as like the same binder. So like the binder that's in every single one of these pencils, they basically mix the same thing up in a great big giant vat. And then what happens is they take that mixture, that binder, and they divide it up, and then they add different pigments into the same binder, okay? So Prismacolor has a wax-based binder. There is more wax in Prismacolor than in a lot of other pencils, and that's what makes them so soft. It's got a really, really soft wax base, but it's got a lot of pigment too. So that's what makes these so very unique, is that it has such a soft wax with such highly concentrated pigment. Let me take a drink. I've been talking my face off like I always do, and now I'm thirsty. Alright. So, because Prismacolor is so very soft, let me get a piece of paper. Let's imagine for a minute that this is your paper, okay? And all those little ridges, that's the tooth in your paper. So this is the flat surface right here. So imagine that you're looking at a piece of paper, you know, like sideways. So you take your Prismacolor pencil that has a lot of really soft wax and a lot of pigment, and you color into your paper, right? So we're coloring, we're filling up this tooth of this paper, because I have to fill up the tooth of the paper when I color. When you have your color down in here like this, and you have all your pigment down in the tooth of the paper, as far as it can possibly go, and every single spot is filled up with pigment, that's burnishing. At this point, once we have the entire tooth filled with color, then it's burnished, alright? The tooth, as you color, the tooth of your paper ends up looking, instead of like this with tooth, it ends up looking more like this. And then your color like just lays on the top. Okay? This is sloppy as I know it's sloppy. Okay, so here's your finished piece after you've burnished. Wax bloom is going to happen whether you leave tooth in your paper or whether you burnish your paper. Wax bloom is still going to happen. Okay? The amount of wax bloom you get, of course, depends on the amount of Prismacolor that you put down on your paper. So if you use a whole bunch of Prismacolor, then you have more wax on your paper, which means you're going to end up with more wax bloom. If you use less Prismacolor on your paper, you're going to have less wax bloom because there's less wax on your paper to start with. Okay. A lot of people confuse wax bloom with the filling up of the tooth of the paper and with burnishing, okay? Neither one of these things are wax bloom. This is just, when you have this, even if it's not burnished, the tooth of your paper is full. So if you notice, I have this green in all that tooth. So now if I come down in here and I try to go on top of it with this green, I'm fighting for the other green. I can't get this green in the tooth because the other green's already there, okay? That's not wax bloom. That's just your paper being full. If you've burnished your paper, the same thing exists. You try to go over it with another color after you put that one on there, there's no tooth for it to grab onto. So it's not going to stick either. And that's not wax bloom either. And basically, what wax bloom is whether you have this or whether you have this. Remember, I told you that when they make color pencils like this, it has binders and it has pigment, okay? So once you get your pencil down on the paper, you're not going to see wax bloom immediately. It's going to take a day, 2 days, sometimes up to a week, depending on lots of different factors, the type of paper that you use, the weather where you live, the humidity and things like that nature are all going to affect wax bloom. But what happens is that your pigment remains settled down onto the paper where you put it, but the wax binder starts lifting up toward the surface of the paper, okay? So that's what wax bloom is. It doesn't happen while you're coloring. It's something that happens later. And let's see if I can show you an example, because I haven't looked at this image since I finished it. So we'll look in this picture I did in Ivy and the Inky Butterfly. I realize this is super close up, guys, but let's see if we can see any. And wax bloom is going to kind of look like a white film, okay? So, and this is just where the color is washed out, so you're not seeing that properly. Alright, so there may be a little bit of wax bloom on here, not a whole lot. If you get wax bloom on your paper, what you can do is you just take a Kleenex, right? And assuming that you have ensured that your paper, like you've brushed away all the Prisma dust as you were coloring, what you're going to do is you're just going to take a tissue and you're going to rub it over the paper. And let's put it under the light to see if if you guys can see it doing anything. So if wax bloom exists and you see like a white haze over your image, you're just going to take a tissue and rub it over your paper, and it's going to take care of it. It's going to make it go away. You can literally wipe wax bloom off of your paper. And I'm putting pretty good pressure onto this right now and just wiping the whole page. Now, you can see I got a little bit of the pigment off, but that's no big deal to me. I don't really care. It's not like it's going to smear it around the page or anything. But it also noticeably brightened the colors for me. Like, in my lighting, the colors are nice and bright again. So it did have wax bloom. I just couldn't really see it very well. But now it's all gone. Same thing with this page. The colors, to me, in my lighting, look slightly dull, which means that more than likely some of the wax in the pencil binder has risen up to the surface and it's dulling my colors out. So same thing. I'll take my tissue and I'm going to apply a little bit of pressure. Now don't do this if you guys have pastel on your paper because you're going to smear it everywhere. And I'm just going to wipe the bloom off. Just wipe it off just like that. Again, I have a little bit of pigment that came off, but that's no big deal. It didn't make any difference to my image here. It's still nice and bright. It's actually brighter than it was before I did that. So that's what you guys need to know about wax bloom, what it is, why. I mean, basically you shouldn't be afraid of it. It's not a big deal, and it's not something that's going to ruin your image for you. Like, if you want to, if you have the time, the patience, the money to invest in a fixative, whether it's a workable fixative or a final fixative, if you spray, like, if you spray your layers, like, let's say that you're coloring and you're finished for the day. Let me zoom out a little bit because I'm, like, really close. I'm probably making you guys dizzy. So let's say that you're coloring, like, let's say I'm coloring this and I'm finished for today. I don't want to color anymore. I'm going to go get a workable fixative and I'm going to spray it on here because that's going to prevent any wax from blooming to the surface. And it's going to give me more time to work on this. Now, let's say that this is a work in progress and I put it up. Right? I put it up and I don't touch it for a week and I come back, open it up, and there's wax bloom on my, like, over here. And I do plan to add a little bit of brown to this. So there's wax bloom here. Well, I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to, like, throw my book away because, you know, I can't put more layers on because of the wax bloom. I'm just going to get a tissue and wipe it off. And then I can go back and do what I was doing. The tissue isn't, like, unless you're, like, literally scrubbing with all the elbow grease you can muster, you're not going to burnish your paper by scrubbing the wax bloom away or wiping it away. I said that wrong. You want to wipe it away, not scrub it away. But, and then I can go back and add more layers. Or, like I said, you can do the fixative. If this is my work in progress and I know I'm not going to be working on it for a few days, I can take it outside, spray it with fixative, and then let it dry, bring it back in, come back, and there will be no bloom because the fixative stops it from having that wax bloom. So, I know you hear a lot of people talk about wax bloom and how terrible it is, and, you know, that's, oh, I can't use Prismacolors because the wax bloom is so bad. Well, wax bloom isn't what you may know what wax bloom is. You may be 100% completely aware of what it is, and everything I said you may have already known. A lot of people don't, and they think that wax bloom occurs when the tooth of the paper is full, or when they've burnished the paper, and then, oh, well, wax bloom, it's the pencil's fault. Well, no, that's not the pencil's fault. That's because you've either A, already filled the tooth of the paper, B, the paper didn't have a whole lot of tooth in the first place, or C, you've burnished it. That's not wax bloom. Hey, I feel better. We've covered that topic. So now everybody knows what wax bloom is and why you shouldn't be afraid of it. Yay! Honestly, guys, I've only ever really had, like, bad wax bloom on one thing I've ever done, and it was on, like, a really super toothy paper. But because I burnished it with my blender pencil, I could just, like I said, I just went and wiped it off. And it was the only image that I ever noticed wax bloom on in the first place. So, yep, that's all there is to that. So, let's go in. I'm going to start on the background. I'm going to pick some background colors, and I want to do blues. Now, if you guys will notice, most of my greens are kind of like muted greens, and that's really, turn that out of the way, it's the light's making it shine. So I don't want to put like a really bright blue in the background, or else the background's going to become the focus if I use a real bright color. So I want some like muted light blues in my background. So actually I'm not done with these greens yet. I'm going to leave those out. Let's get this back out, and we're going to look at my blues in my Prismacolor set and see what we can find. Okay, so some examples of like muted blues that I might consider using, and I can't see the corner of that. There we go. I'm trying to make sure that it's not like so shiny you guys can't see it. I like the Blue Violet Lake, but I think it's too dark. The Sky Blue Light might be a good one for like the very, very last color, like the farthest away from the objects. Or Powder Blue, either one. Blue Slate may be a good starter color. I think that's going to be my darkest. I'm going to go with Blue Slate for my darkest. And then Powder Blue. And then Cloud Blue. Yeah, I do like that, because this will be the darkest color, and it's not a bright blue, so that'll do what I want. So Blue Slate, Powder Blue, and Cloud Blue. Let's get those. Okay. Blue Slate, Powder Blue, and Cloud Blue. If you guys are trying to do something similar, I just want y'all to know that I haven't done the research. I don't know if these are in the 72 or set or anything. I have the 150, and I probably always will because I love my Prismacolors. So, well, I don't know if we're going to have time to do all these 3 colors today, but I'm gonna start with the Blue Slate, and we're going to see what I can come up with. Okay, so I'm going to start out with a real sharp tip with the darkest blue, which is the Blue Slate. I'm not going to zoom in, guys, because so basically, and I've never done this type of background before, so we're kind of learning this together. Basically, what you're going to do is around the objects, you're going to do just like a line. You're just going to add some of this color. I'm going to start with a light layer because, like I always say, it is easier to add more color later than it is to take color away. I'm going to follow this up. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. I really don't. But I know that for those of you, and I know that somebody made a comment, and I'm so sorry that I can't remember who it was. Somebody had made a comment in the Facebook group about how, something about backgrounds and how they felt like pencil backgrounds were tough, or they felt intimidated by it, and I can't remember what it was, but the gist of it was that there was someone who was struggling with backgrounds. And from what I understand, this is an easy way to kind of add a background when you don't want to color the whole background. It's just to kind of do an aura around things. The hard part of this for me is going to be choosing where I want to put the aura, because I obviously can't go around every single little tiny object. Or maybe I can. I don't know. It'd be time consuming, but I guess I could. So basically, the closer to the object, the darker the blue. The farther away that you get from the object, the lighter the blue. And that's how you create that aura effect. Alright, so I've got it done here in this. So let's go around this. Maybe I'll just go around the trees and the vines. I think that's a good plan. And just do the vines and the trees. That way I don't have to worry about trying to get into every single little nook and cranny. Let me zoom in. I don't think you guys can see that blue. It still looks washed out. I'm struggling with the lighting today, guys. I don't know what's going on. I'm hoping it's just my computer monitor that's making it look so light and that you guys can actually see it better than I think you can see it. It's really not as light as it looks on my screen. It's not dark by any means, but it's not this light either. So I'm not going around each of these individual leaves, but I am like following the empty space that goes down by the tree trunk. Oh, you guys can't see that. Sorry. There we go. I'm horrible about that. See, this is why I don't think this is why I have yet to record like me coloring a full session, because number one, it takes me so long to color a full image, and I very rarely ever have the time to just like sit down and do it. I guess I could record one for you guys in chunks. Like just whenever I sit down to color, hit the button, and then at the end of it, just kind of put all the little clips together into one coloring session. That's what my boyfriend says I should do. He said, well, just whenever you're coloring a certain picture, just, you know, record it, and then when you're done, put all the clips together. And I guess that kind of makes sense. Okay, so to break the silence, how is everybody doing today? What kind of weekend are you having so far? Are you having a good and relaxing weekend? Do you have to work this weekend? Are you having a crazy weekend like mine's been so far? Are you traveling? Are you staying home in your jammies? I won't ask you what you're coloring because that's become like the bane of all colorists. Like everybody who does YouTube asks. I know Anne, when she asks, she's like, I'm not even going to ask. Just tell me in the comments. And it's funny. I like it. So I'm not going to ask either. If you want to tell us what you're doing, you know, go ahead. If not, I totally understand. Again, we're in the shadows and now it's dark. Okay. So let's use like this area here to start working on the other two colors, just so I can show you guys what it's all about. So now we have the darker blue that's up close to the vines. You're going to take your second color, which in my case is, got my hair stuck to it, cloud blue. Let me sharpen it up a little bit. Or wait, which one's the darker one? Powder blue is actually the darker one, so we're going to do powder blue. Sorry about my arm being in the way. Alright, so now we're going to take our powder blue and we're just going to kind of like blend into that, which is why we use the light layer. So we're going to come around and we're going to bring our little aura out just a little further with the powder blue. And remember guys, by all means, is that this is not really a tutorial. This is just me trying something and you guys watching, and you can decide for yourselves whether you think it works or it doesn't work. I've never done it before, so I felt brave. So here we are, being brave. One of the important things about using light layers when you do things like this, and it's not just so you can go back and put more pencil on top necessarily. I like to use light layers when I'm first starting a specific part of my image, because for me, it's like a blueprint. It's like color placement. Where do I want all of my colors to be? And then, like, let's say that I get these light layers in and I decide, well, I should have brought my darker blue up more, then it's no problem for me to go back in there with this blue and bring it out more. So this little section we've done with the powder blue, so our last color is going to be cloud blue. And again, I'm just going to go do a very light layer in the areas where there is no pencil yet. You guys probably can't even see this because it's so very light. And I'm really sorry. But I promise you it's there. There's color on the page. And again, I'm not somebody, I can't hold my book still. I physically can't do it. I've tried to do it. I can't. So, if it's like really bothering you guys, please say so, and I'll do my, I'll try even harder. But it's so hard for me to color anything if I don't move my book around. I don't see how everybody else does it. I don't see how like Chris Chang and Julie and, you know, like some of the world's greatest colorists, I don't see how they do it. I'm envious of their ability to color and not move their books at all. But see guys, I don't know if you can see that very well or not, but so now we have a light blue background, and because we did it the way we did it, there's like less room for pencil streaks and stuff like that. And now I'm gonna go back in with my darker blue again. I'm gonna do a second layer, but I'm just gonna do it really close to all the stuff, to the trees and the vines and the branches. And this is just kind of giving me an opportunity to see how dark I want my colors, how far, and I've decided that I just want the darkest color to be, you know, closer to the, I don't want as much of the darker color. I guess I just want the darker color to kind of be there to offset the lighter ones and make it really pop. Alright, I'll do this little section now. I'm just going to finish this little area before I go for the day, so that you guys can kind of see the end result. And you can tell me whether or not you think you like it. Because, I don't know. It's a new technique for me. One I've seen people do a bunch of times, but I've never really tried myself, so we'll see how it ends up looking at the end of the thing. Okay, now I'm going to take my pencil and like kind of just outline really close to the thing, or the tree, branch, vine, whatever it is. And this is medium pressure now. I'm not going so light, but it's like a very, very thin strip because I know I want a heavy application of that color right up against the edges. So we're just going to go ahead and put it in because I know I want it there for certain, because I like the way this color looks. Alright, so now one more time with the powder blue. And we're actually going to go over this blue slate with it this time, so we can blend it out. I'm thinking I like this technique. I'm thinking it's making the idea of doing a background in pencil not seem so intimidating and daunting. I don't like doing complete backgrounds in pencil, especially when they're great big backgrounds. I feel like it takes way too long, and I feel like it's really hard for me to keep the same pressure the whole time, to the point that I don't end up with any pencil lines or anything. I just feel like it's, you know, a huge project, and one that doesn't always pay off real well for me. So yeah, I'm liking this. It's like breaking it down into, basically what you're doing with this is you're breaking your background down into digestible chunks that aren't as intimidating and allowing you to focus on just like one little section of your background at a time. And you can put your colors in because you're using different colors. Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm really sorry about that. For whatever reason, the video just cut off. Don't worry, you didn't miss very much. I was just finishing up with the second color, which was the powder blue. And now I'm going back in for the final time with cloud blue, which is my lightest color. And again, I'm just going to go over everything. And I hope this is in frame because my projection decided not to work anymore. So I can't really see what you can see. I'm using semi-heavy pressure now. I'm actually not quite burnishing the paper, but pretty close. Because I want to use this lighter color to blend, like we talked about in our Prismacolor series. I want to use this lighter color, much like I would use the white pencil when we did the white pencil. I want to use this lighter color to blend and mix all the colors together and make them look cohesive. So that's what we're doing. Or that's what I'm doing. I don't know what you're doing. You may be coloring your background solid black with a Sharpie. I don't know. Alright, and so that is the that section of the background. So let me zoom it in. So you guys can see that this, you know, where we have white paper over here, and I know my voice is probably louder. I'm standing closer to the phone, so I'll be quiet. So what we have here is, this is a little section where I did the background, and we have the darker blue, like just up very close to the edges, and we have a medium blue right next to beside that, and then I have the very, very lightest blue that I use to kind of burnish and blend and bring everything together. As a matter of fact, it looks like I missed a little spot right here with it, so go ahead and fix that. And I'll zoom back out. Oop, wrong way. Do it every time. So now you guys can really see the difference. When you're up close, it's kind of hard to see the difference in how it looks compared to the rest of the image, but this way. So what do you guys think of this? Do you like it the way this is? Do you think maybe I should use a little bit of a darker blue up against the edges? Do you think that slate was dark enough? I have a muted turquoise that's even darker that kind of follows the same style of blue that I can use to go in there. So I'm not real sure. I do like the technique. It does make it easier. It's going to make it easier on the whole entire thing, I think. It may get a little tricky up here because there's so many leaves to go around, but you know, I'll get it done one way or another. Alright guys, so I've been talking your faces off now for about an hour. Unfortunately, I do have some housework and things I need to get done. I've got to go fold up some laundry, and I've got to get my kids busy because they're supposed to be cleaning the floors today, and they haven't done much of anything. I also need to get my pork chops marinating for my supper tonight. I'm so excited. Get my sweet potatoes cut. But I do want to thank everybody just for tuning in and obliging me this afternoon or morning or whatever it is where you are. I did just kind of feel like turning on the video camera, coloring a little bit, and, you know, kind of telling you about my day. So, thank you very much for tuning in and joining me today. As always, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and spend with me when I make these videos. If you're a subscriber, thank you so very much. I really, really, really appreciate it. And if you're not, please go ahead and subscribe now so that you can see future content whenever I come out with it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up because that helps other people see it, which really helps my channel grow. And other than that, please come join us on our Facebook group, Simple Art for Adults. All you have to do is join, and you can come join in the fun. Thank you so, so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday.